everybody, welcome back to the Clintonville Slasher. I'm your host, Sir Frank Wilkes, and today we're going to be talking about a very cool vampire film called Near Dark, released back in 1987. So you've got, so it stars Jeanette Goldstein, Bill Paxton, Lance Hendrickson, Joshua John Miller, Jenny Wright, Adrian Passer, Marcy Leeds, and Tim Thorson. The little rundown of the film is that you have this guy who's played by Adrian Passer, who is a guy named Caleb Colton. Now, Caleb meets this girl named, he's actually, at first he's going out and he's hanging out with his friends, and he sees this girl, and she's coming out of an ice cream parlor, and one of his buddies is like, I'm going to go talk to her, and he's like, hold on, I'll talk to her. So he goes up there and he talks to her. She's eating an ice cream cone, and he's like, hey, can I have a lick? And which is the worst fucking pickup line ever. So he goes over there, he starts talking to her, and he asks her what her name is, and she says it's May. They start hanging out, they start kicking it off, hanging out, and really hitting it off. They ended up, making out, and she bites him, and he has to go home. She's freaking out because she's like, hey, she's like, I have to get home, the sun is coming up, I have to get home. And he's like, well, I ain't going anywhere until you tell me. So she bites him in his truck, and she takes off. So his truck breaks down. It's about dawn, and he starts to, smolder. And he's almost home, and his family, who's played by Marcy Leeds and Tim Thorson, who are Sarah and Loy Colton. Loy is this kind of rancher. He's more like a vet tech for cattle. And Sarah is his little sister, and they see their brother, Colton, Caleb, running. And he's running towards them, and this RV pulls out of nowhere, and Bill Paxton grabs him and pulls him in. And then his family is running after the RV. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you taking him? So he goes in there, and he's in, and they're about to kill him. So inside the RV, you've got Diamondback, played by Jeanette Goldstein. You've got Severin, who's played by the great Bill Paxton. Their leader, Lance Henderson, who plays a guy named Jesse Hooker, and Joshua John Miller, who plays a kid named Homer. Now, these guys, these are, and then they have Jenny Wright, who's May. Now, these guys are all vampires, and they decide that they're going to kill Caleb. But May tells them, hey, you can't kill him. I turned him. So they give him a chance to prove himself to be one of them. So they ditch the RV, and they all go their separate ways. And May is explaining to him that you have to kill, you have to drink, you have to feed on blood to survive. So it kind of goes through all of them, what they're going to do. So Homer gets a bike, and he pretends to fall down. And when he falls down, this guy comes to help him, and then Homer gets him. Bill Paxton, who plays Severin, who's kind of this renegade cowboy type, he dresses up in this really nice fancy getup and asks these two girls for a ride. Like he's pretending to hitchhike. Jesse and Diamondback are together, and they get carjacked, and that's how they get their killing. So it kind of shows what they're into. And so, but Caleb just can't bring himself to kill anybody. He tries to kill the trucker. He can't kill him. May has to end up taking him out, and he's feeding off of May. So they tell him, they're like, listen, you get one more chance to prove yourself, or we're going to take you out. Meanwhile, this is going on for days. Meanwhile, he gets away. His family, or Caleb, tries to get away on a bus, but he can't survive without blood. He tries to eat a candy bar. He can't do it. And his family, Sarah and Loy, are desperately looking for Caleb. They're looking for him everywhere. They're trying to find him. The cops aren't helping, and they're just desperately searching because they went from Oklahoma all the way to Texas. Now, meanwhile, the vampires decide to give Caleb one more try, and they go into this bar. Now, they go in this bar. They basically show him the ropes, like how to do it. And the bar scene is really, really cool. But Caleb lets one of the guys go. And the vampires are like, this is it. You're done. Screw you. If he goes to the cops, we're screwed. But in a twist of fate, Caleb ends up proving himself to the vampires by when the cops do show up later in the day, they knock on the door. And one of the greatest shootout scenes I think I've ever seen in any film ever. The cops show up, they shoot out. Caleb runs outside with a blanket over his head. He's smoldering in the fire. He goes and gets the van. They all rush in. All the vampires rush in. They drive away, and they get away, and they give Caleb another try. They say, you know what? You're one of us. So, Jesse, he kind of gains a little bit of their trust. And when he gains their trust, he asks Jesse how old he is, and he says, "You know what? I'll put it this way: I fought for the South in the Civil War." So Jesse's super old, and they go to this hotel, and he gives Bill Paxton's character Severin gives Caleb one of his spurs, and so he's gaining their trust. But Homer goes outside of the hotel where they're all together, and Caleb and May go out to make Caleb's first kill. He kind of like accepts the fact that he's a vampire. There's nothing really he could do. It's either kill or die. So he decides that he's going to do it. But when Homer goes outside, he meets up with Caleb's sister, Sarah, and asks her if she wants to go inside and watch TV. So when they go into the hotel room, Caleb sees that, hey, my sister's here, you got to let them go. And he's like, no, we're your family, kill them. And so they open up the door, they all rush out, and Caleb goes and gets rescued by his parents. Now, what I will say about this film is at the very end of the movie, where you have the last final showdown between the vampires and Jesse, or the vampires and Caleb, where Homer's running down the road and he's on fire, and it looks really good. I have to say the special effects in this movie are super awesome. Especially Bill Paxton's last stand with Caleb. He is in the truck. He runs him over. He gets up on top. Bill Paxton gets up on top of the truck, and his face all melted off. He's pulling things out of the truck, and he, smashes it, and he crashes the jackknifes the truck, and it explodes. And it's a really cool showdown. And I really like that this film really reached for really good special effects, really good practical effects. They did a really, really good job. However, I will say this, and I hate saying it, and I hate being this guy, but I really hate the ending of this movie. I think it is the worst ending to any vampire film ever, because at the very end of it, Caleb gets a blood transfusion and turns back into a person. And he turns back into a human being, and he does it to May at the very end of the movie. And I don't think that's not a very good ending. For me, it's not satisfying. There's no way that would work. For me, it's not satisfying. It feels like the whole movie was really good up until it ended. So the ending is not my favorite. I will, however, give this movie an 8 out of 10 because I do like it. And I feel like Near Dark is a perfect mixture of 80s nostalgia. You got Bill Paxton, who plays this, eccentric character, who does a really good job. Some of the things that I found out about this movie is that Jeanette Goldstein, Bill Paxton, and Lance Henriksen were already casted in Aliens the year before, and the success of that movie was really, really good. However, James Cameron was a friend of the director of Near Dark, and when they were looking for casting, James Cameron said, hey, I've already got this amazing cast put together. Why don't you just take them and put them in your movie? So that's how they got the character. Now, Lance Henriksen actually went a little bit farther because he's an amazing method actor. When he got his script, he's the one who made up Jesse to be a Civil War Navy sailor. And they all three worked on their characters of who they were. They had some pretty cool backstories. And I thought it was really cool. One night when they were filming, there was a train that was going by. And when Bill Paxton's face was all messed up from makeup from getting hit by a truck, when the train stopped, he ran over to some of the workers that were over there and be like, oh man, there was a big accident, I don't know what happened, I'm this bad, you should see the other guys. So he would just fuck with him, which I think is super funny. So a lot of this movie was shot in 1986 in the Arizona desert, but it takes place in Oklahoma. If you guys have never seen this film, I suggest it. It is a very good movie. Like I said, I give it an 8 out of 10. Not my favorite vampire film, not the worst. I love the bar scene. I love the final showdown, and I like how well that it was written really well. It had a very low budget, but it's a very good movie. It's a very good cult classic. If you've never seen it, it is streaming free on Tubi right now. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At least I try to. My voice is back. Stay horror. Have an awesome, what day is it? Tuesday? And we'll see you next time. Later days. End recording.